and Daniel and Bob and Mary and Lee and Norma, even though I don't see you, Norma.
Yeah, welcome Norma and Mary Jo. So, um, I really enjoyed the meditation again. I always do, I guess. Um, and I was feeling a little out of it past weekend. I had some sinus pressure, and feeling a little nauseous and not really knowing what to do because I wasn't really sick and I couldn't figure out what it was. So my friend Carmen said, well, you probably have allergies. So I started taking some Claritin, and they have this old Appalachian wives' tale where you get a bunch of salt and you heat up this hot water and you put a towel over your head and you boil the water and you just breathe it in, and it cleared my head out. And I took a couple days, but now I'm fine. So I know that's what it was because whenever I start to feel sick and it's something else, I stay sick for a while, and now I'm back to normal. So grateful for that. But I
I'll have
was,
to try that.
yeah, try that. I'll let you know let me know if you have questions about it because she's a master of all that stuff. So, um, and anyway, but I spent the time relaxing, kind of into the impermanence of it all. I said, well, I just need to slow down and not try and achieve so much. Not that I don't think I'm known for being an overachiever in any way, but I was feeling a lot of stress. And I watched this video from Pema Chodron, a Tibetan teacher, and she has this short YouTube video called Relaxing into Impermanence. And that's precisely what I was trying to do this past weekend. And it's only 8 minutes long, but she's such a humble and such a motherly and calm, relaxing figure. I think Georgina showed me the video while I saved it. So I watched it again a couple times, and she said that she was presenting this short teaching in honor of her 80th birthday. She had just turned 80, and that she was going to talk about death because people fear death. And so she talked about how, she'd been preparing for death for many years, and that no matter how old you are, even if you're a teenager in your 20s, it's something that we can, contemplate, even though most of us, when we're very young, we don't, why do I need to deal with that? But I feel like I've dealt with it off and on, and there's been a sense inside of me that there's that fear there, because I had a really powerful fear of it when I was very young. And so she talked about a teaching that her teacher, Trungpa Rinpoche, a very famous Tibetan master, a short teaching that he gave her, saying that every breath itself is a birth and death of the idea we have of being a separate self. And that when she first heard this, it led her to a great fear of feeling groundless, the groundlessness of existence. And I've also been studying a book that one of my teachers later on in life wrote when I was in my mid-40s. I studied with him, Maizumi Roshi. I may have mentioned this before in this group, but I don't really remember. Maizumi wrote a book called Appreciate Your Life, The Essence of Zen Practice. And in it, he says, one understanding of life and death is the life and death of the instant. According to Dogen, the founder of Japanese Soto Zen, Buddha said that in 24 hours, our life and death is born and dying, rising and falling over 6.5 billion times. So in 1 second, our life is born and dies around 70,000 times. Our conscious mind cannot even imagine such an occurrence. What kind of life is this? So he continues, we must see our life clearly. the existence of this life at this very moment, what is it? Being is born and dying 70,000 times at this very moment. What is it? Is such a life different for a man, a woman, a young person, an old person, a human being, other beings? Is such a life dualistic? Is it relative or absolute? All our usual considerations and understanding about what our life is make no sense if we are born and dying 70,000 times in an instant. So, I've been reading some quantum physics, and some physicists that have studied quantum physics, and Einstein also was very open to the teaching that there is no separate self for human beings, that we all are connected. And science is beginning to tell us when we study the subatomic particles in the life of the quantum world, that sort of like a movie, you give this sense of continuity, but what's really happening is these different frames are like flashing on the screen in such a fast, rapid manner that it gives the sense of a continuity of a self, of people, things, solidifying things. And so it gives us that illusion of continuity. And Ty had another in his book, No Death, No Fear, of an example of a metaphor of that. Whereas if you imagine you're outside at night and you have a campfire going and you light a log, so there's a flame on the end of the log and you hold it up and you twirl it around in a circular way like this, and the movement of the flame will produce the image of a circle. But what's really happening is the flame is just moving around continuously, but there is no actual circle. There's just the flame moving. And so both of those examples kind of show how we're kind of hypnotized into thinking we are a separate individual that way. So when we feel that sense of groundlessness that Pima was talking about, it's an interruption of that sense of continuity, and we feel we're out of control, and there's nothing to hold on to, and we're just out there. And she says that she's been preparing for that, but it's very good, because even if we're young, because it's not just preparing for the death of our body, but it's preparing for how to relax into that feeling, that fear of groundlessness in every aspect of our life. Because the Buddha's teaching is, and Thay's teaching is, that underneath that is our deepest fear. Underneath the fears that we have in our everyday life that we normally think of are caused by different events and circumstances, the real cause, the real root of it is that fear of that groundlessness. So she's talking about how, that we need to relax into that fear, and that that relaxation into the fear doesn't mean the absence of fear. It means that fear can be just a little blip, she says. Like maybe if you're in an airplane and it's time to jump out with your parachute, there can be a moment of panic there. But it's just there, and then you learn how to relax into it. And I think in my experience, our actual experience is what really matters. That somehow our practice, we practice being in the present moment, which we talk about a lot, actually learning to be the present moment, then we're open to receiving that acceptance, that unconditional acceptance, that really is the source of this infinite change, these flashings, these instantaneous flashings that we can't comprehend because they're happening so fast. But the source of all that is the present moment, is here and now, and that's what we really are. So there's a way that we can kind of allow that fear to come closer, allow our body to open to that welcoming presence of the Buddha, the compassion that's being offered. That fear of groundlessness, that's stabilized and it's held and even embraced in that which is with us in every moment, the present moment. So if we open to receiving that support, we can learn how to, again, I feel like I say this a lot, but if we're not repressing the thoughts, not repressing the feelings, allowing them to come and be pervaded by this greater presence that seems behind our everyday experience, but actually is pervaded by and absorbed by our true nature, the nature of no birth and death. And it leads to that recognition of our shared being. It's absorbing every one of those little births and deaths that we maybe are just hardly aware of at all, but is there, that gives us that illusion of being continuous as separation. But we can absorb that. One experience I've had recently, because I've been thinking about this groundlessness stuff, and so Pima kind of crystallized it for me when she's talking about that. That, I'd be falling asleep, like maybe I wake up too early a lot of times. And so I'm going back to sleep, but I'm not asleep. And a dream world will start to arise. And so I've had these dreams, a few of them, that just last for a few, like not even a whole minute. And I'll be sitting, I'll see body, and I'll be taking a step, and there's nothing there. There's no ground there, and I'm just like taking a step. But it's not scary because I know that I'm awake. I know that it's, I know it's like a dream image or something. But but experiencing it is like very peaceful. There's like a relaxation into it. And, Pima talks about that she's worked on that for so many years, that she says with such tender confidence, that we don't have to be afraid of death, because there is nothing to hold on to, and that's okay. But we're supported by that which is beyond the confines of ground or groundlessness. In fact, it is sort of, in a way, it's stabilized. The movement of everything is the reflection of this groundless ground that we can't perceive or describe. But it's whole and complete, and it doesn't have any limits. So the compassion and the capacity to receive all the suffering, like Ty's saying, that I probably said this a lot, that the world of suffering and discrimination is filled with the light of the rising sun. That's one of his sayings in his refuge chant. So pervaded by, embraced by, and supported by, and transformed by the light of the rising sun. So that's the light of our true nature, and it, like the sun gives the physical light, illuminates the world with physical light. So the world of the awareness of our true nature illuminates our life with the light of pure knowing, just being, with pure being. So anyway, I would encourage you to take a look at this video. It's called "Relaxing into Impermanence" by Pima Chodron on YouTube, and I find it very reassuring, and gave me a deeper understanding of the role of Sangha, because she's she's very unassuming and very down to earth, but very peaceful and loving. So that's it for me for now. Glad to see you all. Are you talking, Judith? You're muted.
Sorry. Thanks, Roger, for that. I study family children, and one of the things that I always think of is she says you have to allow the rug to be pulled out from under you.
Yeah.
And now that's happened a lot of times in my life, but sometimes I land on my back and land badly, and other times I just roll off the rug and I land softly. It's kind of up to me, how I'm going to land. That's a great freedom that I have, and that I think of that all the time in connection with her. There's nothing we can rely on, nothing out there that we can rely on. Times of birth and death and everything in between. We're the experts on ourselves.
Yeah.
And we don't need to look outside of ourselves. The Pem is, yeah, she's wonderful. Why don't you send us the link to that?
Okay.
If you do that?
Yeah, I can do that. I will. I'm not sure I can do it right now in the middle of the Zoom. I probably can, but I don't know how. So, but I will. I will send it after. I will send it after. Yeah.
No, you were born too early.
I know. Too early for the digital age. But I'm in it, so we're all in it.
And we struggle, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Daily.
Daily, yeah. There's always some IT issue every day. So shall we have Dharma sharing? I just want to say that my heart is heavy. There's a 15-year-old who committed suicide. I did not know him, friend of a friend, but I have been wrapped up in it because I lost my stepson at one point to a drug overdose, and I think that's what this was. Although it was apparently a suicide, and just been lighting the incense for the parents and for the child to have a smooth passing. So young, 15, but he was having gender issues. He wasn't sure, and I think he may have been made fun of at school. So those things are going on all the time too, and yet the Buddha looks upon all of it, and the Buddha smiles. We can constantly ask ourselves, how is it that the Buddha is smiling?
That's over in silence. Thank you guys for the teaching. It's always
Oh dear.
very refreshing. As some of you may know, I studied, have studied for over 20 years now in the Tibetan tradition, as well as the Soto Zen, Meising Roshi, and so on with Roger. And I was taught early on that sometimes, and they refer to the analogy of having the rug pulled up from under you when you're experiencing this groundlessness. Whether you land softly or not, it's a matter of how attached you are to the rug. And the rugs are conceptualizations. Just this is always happening. And how attached I am to my concepts about it is a reflection of how tough it's going to be to let go of those and let things move on. Years ago, I wrote to you, Roger, about something that struck me. When I took Jukai with you and Ocean, you told me that my koan for life was, what is this? Just work with that. And I may have mentioned this before in the song review, but in reading and studying Maizumi Roshi's book, Appreciate Your Life, he mentions several times to appreciate the great matter. And I asked myself over and over again, what is the matter? And I would write it down sometimes. What is the matter? And that with a question mark. And, you know, I would feel odd. I would feel angry or sad or depressed or whatever, anxiety. And I would ask myself, what is the matter? And through my practice, I've come to realize that all those experiences are extra. They're things that I add to the moment. Because the same things happen and I don't experience that.
Mm-hmm.
So these things are things that I add to it. They're conceptual fabrications, they're accessories. And so through working with that koan and working with this, trying to find out what the great matter is, it kind of transmuted into a different phrase, where ultimately, what is the matter? Exclamation point. I, as a being with the capacity to perceive, to experience in a variety of ways, limited ways, albeit, what's going on, that experience of wide open, spacious awareness is my natural state. Everything else is an accessory. Everything else is an add-on. My thoughts about it, my values, my, what I come to expect, what I like, what I don't like, what I hope for, what I hope that I don't see. All these things are story points that I add to that. And the more I conceptualize, the further the more distance I put between myself and the great matter, which is just being vividly and expansively receptive, willing to receive. And the more I practice doing that, and sometimes it's very hard, the more I practice doing that, the more I come to realize how capable I am of receiving, whether it be something sad or something happy or just, something difficult or easy. The more I let go of the things that create space between what's happening and my perception of it, the more I let go of those things, the more I find that these things are much easier to deal with. They're much easier to receive. Yeah. And so I'm grateful for the gift of the koan. I'm certainly grateful for the gift of the book and all the teachings. Over the years, I've gone through a lot of experiences, a lot of changes, a lot of layers of the onion in the big field of thought, and it's been quite an experience. Not done yet, but I'm coming to see how I make things so difficult when simply receiving is all I'm ever asked to do. I am not asked to modify all this stuff and paint this, this picture of it. That's what I do, I guess, with my extra brain cells. If I got,
yeah.
So, but this is what the teaching tonight reminded me of: is that what is the great matter, and that being that beginner's mind, that childlike mind, like a newborn baby with its eyes wide open, just what is this? No concepts, no fabrications, just wow, look at that. If I could just get there, but even that longing is a fabrication. So anyhow, keep it simple like it.
Yeah, thank you for that deep sharing.
Thank you all.
It's interesting because when we talk about that capacity to receive, think of all the stuff we've received over. I mean, for me, it's 75 years. For all of us here, it's over 60 years anyway. And it's like, think of all the stuff we've received. It's all been received. What's really receiving it? That's another way of saying the koan. What is this life? What is the great matter? The great matter is, I think, what Ty said is like the sun shines on everything with a physical light. It illuminates the world with a physical light, and our true nature illuminates our life with the light of pure knowing. Knowing not in the sense of exclusively thinking about it, but knowing in terms of awareness, in terms of experiencing, and in terms of transformation. And, you know, when we receive, we're receiving Buddha's or our true nature or God, however you want to say it. We're receiving that spirit, that love of that spirit, the love of our shared being. And I'm really grateful for my teacher, Reb Anderson, who says that the bodhicitta, the way-seeking mind is not it doesn't arise from ourselves or from others or from itself. It arises as a conversation, as the communion between, and the response and call between sentient beings and Buddha or our true nature or God. It's the conversation. So I'm grateful for our groups in our Buddha Sanghas and the opportunity that we can share and receive that communion. That's what saves beings. That's what Buddha said.
Mm-hmm.
That intimacy. Is that Alfie?
No, I don't think. Oh, wait, was it Alfie?
No, that's Dutch, I believe.
Okay. One of the greyhounds.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of dogs, how is your dog, Wendy?
He's hanging in there. His spirit's back. I'm keeping him quiet. I'm having a hard time getting him into surgery. He'll be going into surgery in about a month, but he's on some pain pills and some liver pills, and we're still enjoying our intimacy together. So it's good.
Good.
Yeah. Did you want to talk, Timothy?
Let's see. Not really, but my keeps coming and going. My connection, it freezes and then it thaws out. I guess at the moment we're in a spring thaw, and I'm just restless. I didn't get very restful trying to relax, but I just got some letting go and moving on to do. As far as it'll end up being relaxing once I do move on. I'm taking to the road. I'm going to Maryland to see my brother who has Lewy body disease and is progressively losing more of his being. And I'll be gone from Savannah for a month, and then I'll be back in my camper and head west to Montana. That's where my heart is, my home away from home. That's all I'm up to. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Well, what type of disease did you say your brother has?
Lewy body.
Lewy body.
It's where he loses his motor skills.
Oh.
And he has it's a type of dementia. And he also is losing his thought process.
Mm-hmm.
But very unpleasant way to go. Because I'm sure he's been aware of it up until, and I think he still is. It's terrible.
It sounds like it could be ALS, maybe Lou Gehrig's disease.
Oh, it's similar to that, but they call it Lewy body.
Lewy body.
You know?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's spelled just the way it sounds.
Well, have a wonderful travel, and hope you're able to share your love with your brother.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yep.
Daniel, did you want to weigh in on that at all?
Yeah, a little bit. My deceased former wife had Lewy body dementia, which came on a while after she was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. And they quite frequently will occur. Sometimes the Lewy body dementia shows up first, and sometimes the Parkinson's type manifestation will show up first. So it really, it's a debilitating set of diseases, because the body goes motor control and the mind is going, because in my wife's case, she had these episodes where she would see things or hear things. And really there'd be no warning. It would just occur. And one of the things that I found very interesting is she got to a point where she would think, I think I'm seeing something, and it's not really there. And she would ask me, are there people over there in the lake? No, my dear. Nobody's over there at that dock. But she would have these stories about these things. And one of her most frequent was characters from Mardi Gras. People on stilts and that sort of thing. And they were tearing the house apart, taking the windows out. At least that's what she told me one morning. Oh, well. I feel very sorry for your brother, Tim. It's not going to be easy, but that's what I can offer for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
We're actually over time now. So if somebody would like to say something, now would be the time. Otherwise, we'll go straight and ask Norma if she will chant sharing of the merit.
I just want to say I am very touched by the deep sharing. And Mary, it's really nice to see you tonight. May the merit of this practice benefit all beings and bring peace.
Thank you, everybody.
Good evening. I love you.
Love you all. Have a
Bye-bye.
great week. Bye.
Have a good week.
Safe journey, Timothy.
Be safe.